Hey everybody, it's Emily, and I'm going to show you some of the volunteers we have growing this year. But first, in the last video, I forgot to show you a couple things that they're not growing in the garden per se. This is the orchard. See, we have a ceiling on our orchard. I don't know if you can tell. The beetle netting. No birds can come down. But anyway, in the orchard, I have a couple of garden things growing. Actually, this is a butternut squash. I heard on somebody else's video a few months ago that peppermint oil will repel squash bugs. So, ooh, I think I see a flea beetle on there. But so I said, well, maybe I can grow squash if I spray this once or twice a week with liquid Castile soap that has peppermint. So I'm going to try that. So this is a squash, and it has the buds. The flowers haven't opened yet, but it's got several buds on it now. And this is another one of those tomatoes that I was telling you about. I got free seeds when I made another order. It'll produce tomatoes that are green when they're ripe. They'll be sweet, but they'll be green, but no flowers on it. It's very slow. Of course, this is a totally different soil. This is, the native soil with some mulch on it. Oop, there's an Atlas that needs some diatomaceous earth, it looks like. Gotta remember that. Alright, let's look at the volunteers then. Okay. Here we are. I want you to look at this cleared space here. And the house is there. See the berm? See that thing of concrete? Alright, that's one of the retaining walls. Okay, and peach tree there. Alright, this is how far away I am from the house here. This area here is where Jerry has been burying our human manure. For those of you who don't know, we use a very basic composting toilet, bucket and covering it up with dirt. So every few days it needs to be taken care of. And wow, they're already drying up. One is anyway. But I thought this was really cool. So Jerry found these, and they're just gonna shrivel up and die because I'm not gonna water them. I already have too many tomatoes. But somehow or other, tomatoes got seeded here. There's one plant here, and I hope I'm not getting thousands of chiggers jumping all over me. It's pretty weedy here. And this one, oh, that branch is broken. But oh wow, this has tomatoes on it. Look at that. Look. Yeah, I suspected as much. They're cherry tomatoes. Wow, this is actually growing fruit. But look, see? That means I want some water. I'm not going to bother watering these, like I said. But I just thought that was funny. And it even looked, if you look, they're right parallel to each other. It's like, excuse that truck in the background. It's like somebody planted them on purpose. Kind of weird. I wonder why this one isn't dried up yet. Maybe the ground is slanted a little bit this way, so maybe there's a little more soil in that, moisture in that soil. Okay, well, we make our way back to the garden. I want to let you know, just for the fun of it, that it's like 10 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. I mean, from 95 to 85. 85 still will sound hot to people, especially in the north. But when you go from 95 to 85, I mean, 85 feels really nice. And especially the humidity is probably down, I bet, more than 10% over what it's been. But oh, here's my next really fun volunteer. I was hoping, I don't know how these got, I guess because there was probably some growing up on the berm there. And ended up down here. Unless a bird might have eaten some of the fruit and, deposited some seeds in here. But I was hoping these would eventually volunteer in the garden. I love them. What do you think these look like? If you say they look like tomatoes, yes, they're related. This is called a black nightshade. If you know your vegetables, if you're an avid gardener, been gardening for a while, you know the nightshade vegetables include eggplant, pepper, and tomatoes. Well, there are wild nightshades too. This is one of the good nightshades. These little white flowers, they're going to produce fruit that's first going to be green. If you eat them green, you'll die. They're very toxic. But then they turn black. That's why it's called black nightshade. And when they're black, they're perfectly harmless. It's like tomatoes. And they have just a mild sweet taste. And they're very pleasant. So I was, and I've got another one I'll show you. But here's a nightshade that you don't want on your property. This is horse nettle. And I think I've cut all the ones down that have flowers. Too bad I can't show you. This is horse nettle. This is also a nightshade, and it produces flowers and little, I think red or orange, I forget now. But little berries. I mean, the berries are pretty, but I mean, and they look like mini tomatoes. Horse nettle, though, they're very thorny, and the thorns are very painful. So these are, you know, you have to be very careful digging them out. And also they sucker underground like poison ivy. So like all around, they're definitely all under the asparagus patch here and the blackberries because they keep popping up. And you know, you can't really do anything about it. It's just roots all around. But anyway, here's the other black nightshade. Look how big this mama is. Love it. Can't wait till there's fruit. Oh, look, there already is. I think, yeah, look at teeny tiny green fruit. So that's fun. Check this out. Tomato. Right next to this asparagus. Not quite in the asparagus area. Again, I don't know how this would have gotten here except for a bird depositing. I did have, you know, I threw a bunch of rotten tomatoes over by the big rain tank, you know, that area, and you know, things eat it, and if it's a bird, they might deposit seeds. I'll bet these are more cherry tomatoes. I need to mulch this really well. I'm thinking about keeping this watered, and let me show you. Ta-da! This one watered too. It is right across from the actual tomato bed, which I thought was funny. Yep. And you know, like with the other ones, I did not know this already had fruit. Look. I think this is a cherry tomato too. So I'm going to be I'm staking both of these with doubled, well, I don't know if I'll double. Yeah, I probably will double tomato cages. And yeah, get them supported and keep them a little bit watered. So the last thing I want to share with you as far as volunteer, and I've talked about this in the last couple of videos too, but these are awesome. Of course, the cilantro. I should mention the cilantro. I don't think I ended up harvesting from either of these plants because they like started to go to seed by the time I realized they were there. But yeah, I've got cilantro that, you know, just pop up here and there because I at one point had cilantro growing over here that I planted, and now it just freely reseeds, and I have cilantro that came up in here. So I'm still picking a little bit off of the cilantro, but it's really hard to find because I've got all these other weeds and something that a lot of people would call a weed, but I don't because it's so edible. Lambsquarters. Lambsquarters are known for their calcium. Yeah, they have a lot of calcium, you know, per cup cooked. They're all going to seed now. I promised my neighbor I'd collect some seeds from him because I had him sample it. But this can be good raw. I mean, it tastes good raw, but if you're like me, I'm sensitive to the toxins in greens. All greens contain some level of different toxins, and I understand that's a natural thing to prevent the wildlife from eating it all down. But if I eat very much of it raw, I start to feel icky, you know, and then I can't even eat it cooked. So we just eat it steamed. It takes, you know, it takes quite a few of these to produce enough leaves to fill the saucepan to make, you know, a couple of servings of lambsquarters. But this is where, if you will recall, I used to have the keyhole bed that we tore down because it decided that wasn't going to work. But apparently I had uprooted a lambsquarter with seeds on it and plopped it in the keyhole bed, and look. So I'm calling this my lambsquarter garden. And I'm going to collect some of these seeds for myself. And I'm actually going to unpurposely sow them in SIP beds from now on. Because I'm not going to have this uncarpeted open area anymore. So, but isn't that cool? So I need to talk about the taste. The taste's really mild. It's not like dandelion or henbit. I mean, henbit's okay, but it's like really, it's kind of fuzzy and doesn't really taste like anything. But a lot of the weeds that they say are edible, like Jerry once said, well, you know, edible doesn't necessarily mean palatable. Lambsquarters actually are palatable. They've got a really nice flavor, either raw or cooked. So, yep. If you've been seeing these around your property and wondering what they are, and if you've just been weeding it up and throwing them out, or putting them on your compost pile, come on. Hey, you can eat these. Excellent source of calcium, and I think that, you know, like most greens, would have some vitamin C and other trace minerals. So yeah. So before those are the main volunteers I have this year that I wanted to share with you. But I need to share with you one more thing before I go. Remember how I told you in my garden update that I didn't know if these were getting pollinated because all the cucumbers were doing this. See, this was green in the last video. It's turning yellow and shriveling up and dying. But this morning, Benjamin found this. I have no idea how I missed it. But apparently, at least the ants, if it's only the ants here, the ants are doing some good at pollinating. So we'll have to see what happens in the future. Should I mention the red Malabar spinach? How about I show you real quick? Volunteer zinnia, by the way. Several of those at the end of the sweet potato bed. But I've told you in previous summer gardening videos that red Malabar spinach, you plant it once, and that's it. You never have to plant it again. There's one down there, at that pot. But there's a bunch of it over here, and I'm going to have to go through these tomatoes. Look, see? Red Malabar spinach, it's a weed. Red Malabar spinach, a whole bunch of it. And most of it's going to, you know, I'm not going to let those vines go crazy like I have been, because they make a mess, and we don't eat what, you know, all those vines. I mean, because they go crazy, and there's just way too much. But I guess we can call those volunteers too, even though those were expected and hoped for volunteers. Anyway, I need to do some more pruning on these tomatoes. Thanks a lot for watching. And remember, you know, enjoy those volunteers. They're, you know, freely seeded. Save you some work. You might have to do some extra watering, but oh well, hey, you didn't have to try to start the thing from seed. So, alright, well, I'll see you for the next video. In the meantime, take care and happy gardening.